Joining us now is Nelson Balido, and he is in San Antonio. We're going to be talking about the border situation. Mr. Balido, Nelson, good to have you with us.
Hey, John, great to be with you this morning. How you doing?
Never better. Hey, tell us, you're chairman of the Border Commerce Security Council. Tell us from your perspective in Texas, what is going on there now?
Well, there's a lot of things going on. You know, the council has been around now for a number of years. We're a 501c6 that really works with different areas of industry, not only on the supply chain side, but also on the security side. We work very closely with the Border Patrol, with Customs, with ICE, with Coast Guard, really at being a voice for industry, but at the same time being a voice for these agencies to be able to say things to Congress, to be able to say things in the media that perhaps they would like to say, but sometimes are restricted to say. Many of the times they have to stay with talking points, as you know, but, you know, we don't necessarily have to do that. So we go out there and work very closely with the agencies and program managers and so forth to really understand what is happening out there in the field, but more importantly, bringing that outside the Beltway perspective inside the Beltway. So I just got back from Washington, D.C. Last night, where we had some meetings with various members in Congress since Monday, talking about exactly that. We're talking about the border. We're talking about how do we secure the border better in a smart way, wall, no wall, virtual wall, sensors, and more importantly, looking at ways that how can we help with the policy issues that really can start making a difference all over the border? There's no question that the resources are strained. We've seen that on it's been front page news now for a number of months. You're seeing Kevin McAleen, the commissioner. You're seeing the chief of the Border Patrol. You're seeing the field operatives, the field chief saying, look, we're just totally strained. And that's a fact. I mean, we have some military out there, some National Guard. We're having to pull U.S. Customs officers off the ports of entries that are now delaying the legitimate trade and travel that really helps sustain the economy throughout U.S., Mexico, and Canada. In many cases, when you're talking international trade, and certainly we're even seeing some of our interior border checkpoints being shut down intermittently to pull some of those officers again to help this massive migration that's been taking place.
Wow, it is just a frightening situation, Nelson, that is going on down there with the drugs and the cartels and our total open border situation, the laws. Local people that you're talking to, I'm not talking about Congress or the fake news legacy media that wants open borders. Just people that live on the border, Texans, right? They're just trying to go to work and make a living for their family. What are they saying about this?
Well, I mean, you know, they're not happy. They're not happy that thousands of people are being released in the general population. So we have to take a step back and look and see, you know, why are these folks are coming over from the triangle. When we say triangle countries, these are the countries that are closest to Mexico, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, south of Mexico. These folks are making a trek it's thousands of miles. They hit our border, and they don't care about a wall. They don't care about sensors. So they don't care. The only thing they care about is turning themselves into an agent so they can be processed. Now, most of these will come with a minor child. That's the caveat. You got to come with a minor child. They get processed, and within 20 days, they have to be released into the general population. Some have ankle bracelets, some don't, in order to come back and get their day in court, which sometimes is 3 to 4 years away because of our backlog. These people now are being released in this general area. Over 100,000 families since spring of last year, over the last year, being released in these areas. Well, of course it's flooding. It's straining their resources. It's straining police resources. It's straining medical resources. It's straining, even their community centers that are having to house, trying to find ways to place these people or moving around or whatever. So, most of these folks that come over really come over with no plan. Some of them actually have family and or friends already in the United States. And, you have Catholic Charities and other organizations that try to place these people around the country. But people don't like it. Even many of the elected officials that were saying we don't need a wall, we want to welcome these people. Now, all of a sudden, some of these border mayors and county judges and so forth are saying, hold on a second, we need to do something. Well, yeah, because they realized they didn't see the numbers, they weren't looking at the numbers, and frankly, they're being overrun in resources. So, yeah, of course, if the people are trying to get to their jobs, they'll go and run their daily lives. Guess what? And they're seeing a heck of a lot more people running around that weren't there before.
So we've been talking all day about the frustration in solving this, the inaction by Congress, the laws that the asylum laws, number one, are one of the biggest culprits here, acting like this huge sucking sound, bringing people into the border. Now you have the domino effect where people in Honduras and that want to get out and come to the United States and take advantage of our welfare system and free healthcare and free education and free housing and free bus tickets. I mean, look, this is just reality. So now they're being told, hey, come here now because the border's being overwhelmed. The government, the U.S. government can't do anything to stop you from getting in. And then after you get in, you just hang out for 20 days and you're going to get released if you have a child. So it's a domino effect, right? And yes, Congress is doing nothing to solve it.
This is a racket. I've been talking to everyone that I possibly can since October, and certainly been on national media just like this saying, look, you got to look at the numbers. Back when I was talking about this in October, we were having about 30,000, about 28 to 30,000 people approaching our borders and claiming asylum, claiming credible fear. If you take back even further than that, if you go to March 2018, it was about 3,000. Today it's about 100,000 people going over the border. And you mentioned the cartel situation, which is very interesting, because no one crosses this U.S. border without paying a toll. There's no folks that sit on their own. There's no family that say, maybe this week we'll just head to the border, This is absolute organized crime. These people are recruited by cartels. You think it's like a cartel travel agency handing out leaflets in their downtowns. They recruit these people at $5,000 to $7,000 a head, and no one gets. You either have to pay, you have to pay a down payment, or they leave a family member behind. And until that family that arrives to the United States pays off that fine or that toll, then they may release the family member that's left behind in that home country. It's the longer these asylum laws are not addressed, the more we are not only helping the cartels and funding this activity, but it's become a bigger money maker at this point than the drugs that they were pushing over the border. Now, we know a wall, we know sensors, we know why we need more people on the border, because traditionally, we're trying to stop drugs. We're trying to stop the illegal immigrants or the other illegals that do not qualify for asylum. But until this loophole is closed, which Congress has not done anything about, they love to talk about it, but they're not doing anything about it, this will not stop, because it is a moneymaker and it is an opportunity for these people. God bless them. They want a better opportunity. These are economic migrants, because less than 10%, once they're gone through the entire judicial system, those that do show up, and there's, and there's a huge number that never show up, actually have credible fear or can prove credible fear. The rest don't. And if you can't prove credible fear, well, guess what's going to happen? Well, they're going to send you back, right? So if you know you can't prove credible fear, why even show up on court to start off with?
Well, this thing is such a mess, Nelson. And What is frightening to many people is there's no end in sight. There's just no end in sight. Congress has total inaction. There's no wall. Nothing's getting done. We can't change the laws. Every time the president tries to do something, there's 5 judges in San Francisco that are stopping him from doing it. There's not enough money for a barrier, and Mexico is not being cooperative. And it doesn't matter what he does. This thing is getting now to the point of no return. So I think the president is right in giving the government of Mexico a short period of time. If they can't help us here, I think we have to start putting tariffs on everything and pummeling them economically until they do something, because the president's powerless to change these laws, right?
Yes, sir. So yeah, it's certainly he's trying to, migrant protection protocols where they try to send some people back to Mexico to wait, but that's kind of loosey-goosey. That works in some cases. In many cases, it doesn't. We need to absolutely pressure the triangle countries, those countries south of Mexico and Mexico, to start doing their part. They simply are not doing their part, and they need to be doing. You got a new administration that came into Mexico on December the 1st, which is a more of a left-leaning administration. The enforcer or enforcement presidents that we had before, well, from what the Border Patrol tells me, and I talk to them daily, is either at the embassy in Mexico City or, in fact, in here on the border and inside the Beltway, they're very difficult to get along with. They want to try humanitarian type strategies where they need to have more enforcement strategies. Humanitarian strategies that the president of Mexico wants to put in place, these are generational changes. Yes, they're admirable. I understand what he wants to do, but this does not fix the problem on the short term. This is generational changes, and frankly, we don't have generations to be sitting around waiting for these folks to do their job, because the ultimate loser is the United States of America.
Unbelievable. I'll tell you what, Nelson, I appreciate that update. And yes, citizens of America here are the big losers. And this government is its inaction to do anything to stop this is frightening. But look, they have plenty of time, Nelson, to subpoena the president's taxes from 1988, right? They got plenty of time for that. It's really a sad situation, and basically we're heading towards an open border situation where, as Trump said years ago, if you can't control your borders, you simply don't have a country, and that's where we're headed. Thanks for being with us.